Hey guys, we're back together again. Yay, this is so nice. I just wish we had some like cheese or something we could share, like
No, right? My
Paimpsest.
my plate is empty.
Oh, I ate for
My
it.
stomach's empty.
Just finish my apple.
Yeah, if I eat before I start working, I like that's why I don't eat through the day because I can't get myself in there. All the blood goes to my stomach, not in my head, and I lose all my thinking and all my thoughts. And frankly, you guys know that's already a thing. So I want to be able to keep my energy at a stable pace. And I just find like my mindset's better if I don't eat. And I used to get kind of depressed and everything, but that's a little different, I guess, than what we're thinking about today. What our mindset is to make art or to be creative. How do we get there? What do we think about? And I have a whole protocol for my thing.
Ooh,
So how about you guys? What do
tell
you do?
us. Share.
I'm curious to
We
What's
want
your
to
know.
know.
protocol?
My protocol. So part of my protocol is well, we had done an episode about this last year. What do you do when you first get into the studio? And so now I've incorporated that very much as part of my protocol for cueing myself in for what I'm doing. And I always say hello to my studio when I come in. That's kind of like an old Findhorn kind of thing. You guys are probably too young to know Findhorn, but
Of course,
uh,
I know Finn Horn.
a garden where they would actually talk to the vegetables is in Upper Scotland, and they go huge vegetables, huge. But they treated things as if they had life to them, not in like kind of a weird God kind of way, like a polytheist kind of, but just like with respect that they were worthy of also being named. But they would give them people's names, so that was a little strange, like the zucchini Polly. I think that was like a little odd, right? But there was like this certain kind of thing. So I come in with that kind of energy and that kind of attitude on a good day. Another day I might come in to do business, which is like a kind of a different, like that's not the mindset we're talking about. But to come in and make art, and then I have like a list. It's almost like a checklist of the parts I go through. I also have a list of how I'll develop a piece or a series. Really, it's a series. Like I'm going to determine before anything my materials and the kind of like the colors. Like here's what my intention is, and here's how I'm going to approach it, and here's the size I'm going to use. So it's like already laid out. I don't have to think about it at all. And I've probably got 50 series notes already of all the things I want to make. So then there's the other thing is about like deciding. That's a little harder. So also I facilitate a process art making workshop. And in that, there's a sense of just letting go and just starting to do stuff. Rose, you used to, when you were an art therapist and guiding people through art therapy, I think that's a very similar kind of thing. You just kind of make your marks, and then it kind of turns into whatever. And then I've got other things that I will do to like to respond to what I've seen myself do. That kind of doesn't glue it. It solidifies it in a certain kind of way for me. It kind of gets me to understand what it is I've done
Yeah.
instead of being like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It also involved a whole range of 4 rules. Like one of them is in that part, don't comment. I allow myself the luxury of not judging anything that I'm doing at
So
that.
you apply that rule to yourself as well.
Yes,
The
and
no comment.
right. And sometimes
Okay.
it is challenging,
Yeah.
right? Because we've all been to art school, art, whatever, college, we've had art teachers, art mentors, and like, comment is kind of like the currency
Yeah.
that where we've been indoctrinated into. So it's a very important part, I think, to get ourselves in the mindset of freedom. It's a freedom kind of mindset. It's a freedom to be creative and
Mhm.
allowing
Yeah.
what's going to happen to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a removing of barriers kind of thing when you go in the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, when as an when we, either group or individual expressive arts therapy, what the first thing you do is try to get someone into their body
Hmm.
so that it's not all just thoughts, like and talking, thoughts and talking, because it's hard to get creative when you're in that other side of your brain. You got to engage both sides. So one of the things we would do was just do like a rub your hands together for a couple, I don't know, a minute, and then you put them on your eye sockets.
Oh, palming. That's a lovely.
Yeah, and it's really simple, but it's just like a kind of like slightly help you to shift your mindset by refocusing where your body and mind are in time. And for me personally, for my own, I almost always have to sing, and maybe dance around a little bit, maybe even like aerobic-y kind of thing, just to kind of like switch from like where my brain was on the outside of the studio door and where I want it to find itself to be able to hit into that what artists call the flow state. And I mean, that is, you have to create your mindset before you can open up to that free flow, like you're talking about freedom. There's that free flow state that I personally, because of my medium and the way I try and improvise on what I've gotten from my monoprint, for example. Um, it's like jazz music where you hear what the other musician has said or done, and then you respond. So to be able to respond, you have to open up a little bit, right? So for me, that's one of the things I do is sing and dance around.
Mhm. What kind of music? Any kind of music? You're a pretty eclectic person.
I'm very eclectic, but I've been pissing my neighbors upstairs off by playing some pretty serious R&B funky stuff lately. I don't think they like the block music.
The bass, hitting that bass, hitting the walls.
Oh my god! Well, I was doing Aretha, and that was oof. But it worked for me.
Cheryl, you have your love of place. So, what's your mindset? Do you get into a didgeridoo? You put on a didgeridoo? Didgeridoo? I can't say the word.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Come back. We'll come back to you, Cheryl. Laura, you live.
Okay, talking about mindset, I think about myself, it's something that I'm working on because sometimes it's happened that I think that mindset is really, really important because of what we think we are. I think because if we think that we are able to do something, really we can do it. But when insecurity or not thinking that we're not enough, not able to do it, reduce our ability also to be creative. So I have my ups and downs. I have ups sometimes that I think I can do everything. I can do. I feel really, really a lot of energy, and it's happened just a few weeks ago. I was planning for my new 2 series of painting. I sketched everything. I was full of energy. And then comes the down. The down, I feel like I can do anything. I feel really, I'm not saying depressed, but it's like I cannot breathe because I think I'm not able to do it. So, and there it's when I have to work on my mindset to. And what I use, I try to use I'm using an app that continue to repeat a phrase that I recorded to give me like more confidence, and meditation. I like to meditate in the morning, really early in the morning, and this helped me to find my balance, because it's linked to the balance that we have. When I don't have my balance, I feel so insecure. When I've got my balance, I said, okay, I can do what I'm able to do. But it's not like when you reach, okay, it's done. You have to work every day on it. I don't know, maybe the moon, maybe the weather. There are many things that comes in. I don't think my way, because probably everybody feel this life is a continuous ups and down for everybody. So
train your mind and train the rivulets of chemistry to train your mind to be able to go in and do your thing. That's the routine. That's the practice, right? The practice is the regularity and the
I found out also that I have like probably I go with the season. It's something. Yes, I like hibernation during winter, and spring it's more blooming, the idea. So, but if you don't work on this, or if I don't work on this, it's like doing something random. So I've noticed that when I do meditation and I more concentrate, thinking more about my mindset, I can be more productive. But it's not so easy. It's more easy to say than to do it many times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every time. Can
Very
we get
cool.
you back now, Cheryl? Can we hear you now?
Am I back or not?
Yes,
Yes.
you are.
I like the idea of being in a fasting state, which a lot of the athletes are these days. And people, I suppose, back in the day when the hunters would hunt, the reason why you hunted was because you're in a fasting state, which you're in an alert idea. Apparently, Pythagoras would also not teach his students if they had eaten, because their brains were dumb, because they were too busy processing the food. Which I thought that was really interesting. And I love the music idea, the meditation. I suppose I meditate if I go out into the bush or out and I'll draw, which is a meditative state. But I too do I do stuff like, I do screen shit. So I kind of like imagine that I'm doing a painting, and then I sort of imagine myself almost like doing it and all the things that I have to bring in. And so I kind of like pull them in, like physically, and then I sort of imagine it going really well and how beautiful it is. But it's almost like a video, but I do it almost like pulling this and pulling that. Come on, let's build it. Like a meditation kind of.
Visualization.
Yeah, visualization. But I play it as it's going really good and it's so much fun. And
I love it.
That's awesome.
It's getting out of that stuff. And I'm also really aware that most people aren't used to being by themselves and playing and just doing stuff, because they're always thinking that they've got to please someone else. And that's a really hard mode to move into in our life, of just, hey, you can just play for a day, make mistakes, scrap it up, do the opposite.
Oh, that's so deep, Cheryl.
Yeah.
That's what Denise has been dealing with.
Yes, she has. It's actually really interesting because since my shift to my new body of work, the way I prepare myself is much different. Because I actually never really used a sketchbook. I mean, I used it to like jot down ideas or stuff, and I've always wanted to keep one, but I never could get into the habit of it. And now I start my day by, when I step into the studio, I force myself to first, even though I might have ideas about paintings that are waiting for me, I first force myself to first do a sketch where I can play and where it doesn't matter what comes out. I often use it further along a piece that I'm working on that I'm not quite sure where it needs to go. And in my sketchbook, I can just boldly add something and figure out whether it's good or not. And then that gets me into the state um, of allowing myself to listen to the artwork, because where I used to force my will upon the canvas, I now sort of let the artwork lead and I will follow where it wants to go, which is a much different state of mind. And it took me quite a while to wrap my head around that and to figure out that that was where I needed to be. But that's how I get there.
Yeah, but it's exhilarating, isn't it?
It is. And also the fact that I was able to create a few pieces, and I've also gone through the process of going from hating a piece to loving it within like basically a few brushstrokes, gave me the confidence to just play and do things and figure I can always add another layer if it's not there yet. And I can leave a piece and just let it grow.
Yeah. Yeah, I always think that often it's the physicality of using your tools and your material and accessing your shoulder and doing the sweeps.
Yeah.
And actually getting into your body, out of your head, and the way that you hold and the way that you pull it and push it.
Yeah. Yeah, because for me, that's exactly the key, is getting out of my head and stepping sort of aside from all of those judgments or anxieties or questions or comments or all that stuff or inner critique, and just step aside and let it happen. That's a mindset, isn't it?
Wonderful. Wow. I don't know about you guys. I have learned, like I took notes here. This is fantastic. And I'm thinking, let's have a what do you call that? A sheet. You know, people could get our mindset sheet from
10 tips for getting into the mindset of the creative space.
Yeah, I think you could actually sort of write a book on that almost, couldn't you? I mean, that would be like all the ideas.
I think there's a bunch of them in the bookstore.
Sorry?
There's a bunch of them in the bookstore. The Artist's Way is a pretty popular one.
Also
Yeah.
The morning pages have now been kind of entered a little controversy, a little bit disproven in some kind of way, that maybe it's a procrastination tactic more than a getting into it tactic.
I actually tried, I was doing the Artist's Way while I was moving into my new body of work. And I tried the morning pages for a while. And for me, it doesn't do it for me. It doesn't work. Yeah. But the sketchbook, on the other hand, it does.
Worked for you. Yeah.
It does.
Well,
and
one's
it's
verbal.
Basically the same thing, I guess. It's just that
one's verbal,
I'm not a
one's
writer.
visual.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you can do it audio too, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be.
No, for me, it's just a matter of slapping a bunch of paint on a page.
Slap it.
But that's more.
That's what it boils down to, my dear.
It is more fun, and it looks freaking awesome. I mean, I'm very happy with my sketchbook now.
Yeah,
well, but that's what we like to do. We like to smear.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, we have to come back next week. We agreed? We'll come next week?
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Great. Oh,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.